Okay, so now we are talking about content, which is basically taking your music and presenting it to your fans and to future fans. In this video, we're going to look at the why, when, how often, what formats you should look at, why consistency is important, and then we're going to tie that all together with a real world example, and we're going to look at Fred again. So starting with the why, this is perhaps the most important part of this whole video and the one bit we really want you to remember, and that is the why is your music, the why is not your social numbers. And the reason we want to emphasize that is it's very easy to get distracted by, how many likes we've got, how many shares. Oh, our Instagram's not growing quick enough. And then that leads us to looking at videos about hashtag strategies and how often to post in a day, what's the best time to post. And before we know it, we're spending more time on social media than we are in the studio and creating. The key to remember here is ultimately the content is the wrapping paper and the music is the gift. If you think about Christmas, when you get a gift, you don't really remember the wrapping paper, you mostly remember the gift. So if you find yourself in that, that mindset where you're like, I don't know what to post today, oh gosh, I've got to post today, that's when you need to be turning your phone off, putting it away, get in the studio, work on a live show, join a band, book a gig, write some music. That sort of work, that creativity is going to basically inform your content. It's going to make your content more interesting, more engaging, and much more effective. Way more effective than a really well thought out and planned hashtag strategy. So when and how often? Well, we can be a bit more specific here. So in terms of you've got a release coming, we'd always recommend posting every day if you can for 14 days before the release. This is particularly important if you're not a serial poster. And what this does is it essentially wakes up the algorithm to the fact that you are doing something and you are presenting stuff. And over those 14 days, your post will increasingly gain visibility with your fans and with, potential new fans. It also wakes up your followers to the fact that something's coming and that they need to pay attention. And then we'd recommend after the release to try and keep things going for 7 to 10 days at least, just to keep the momentum, maximize the plays, maximize the exposure of your music. But again, this mustn't come at the detriment of the creative process. So if you are out of the release cycle, whilst we would say post as often as possible, that posting as often as possible really should be fed by what you are creating. So again, get in that studio, come up with a live show, film behind the scenes, go to a gig, film that, whatever it is. Don't do it the other way. Really important not to do it the other way and get obsessed with what you need to produce. What can I produce, and try and find something to fit. Okay, so in terms of format, well, most people would say video is king. I guess probably that is true when you think about all the formats that are out there. However, still have a place. So for example, with your fans, a still of your single artwork is potentially going to be work and is essentially might be engaging. However, if the objective of your post is to try and reach new fans, then a still of your artwork probably isn't going to work, and it needs to be a video with, a snippet of your music or something else going on that can draw them in. So ultimately, format really is dictated by who it is you're trying to reach and what it is you're trying to communicate and what is the best way of communicating that. And then the final point we referred to at the beginning was consistency. And consistency is really important again, because if you're constantly chopping and changing and all over the place, particularly as a new artist and an emerging artist, it's very easy for your fans to get disconnected, not understand what it is you're trying to communicate. So again, try and make sure there's a consistency on how you promote yourself and how you present your videos, and that will help your fans, I guess, stay on the journey with you and become ultimately those super fans, those people who come to your gigs, buy your t-shirts, buy your albums, and so forth. Okay, so that is kind of the main part of the video. So what we're going to do now is going to look at a real world example, and we're going to look at Fred again. Okay, so if we look at Fred again, we'll start with the same thing. Why is he sharing? Well, if you look at his Instagram feed, it's a really good way of looking at this, TikTok or his YouTube. And it's essentially him performing live, him collaborating with other musicians, him sharing new music, and ultimately upholding the principle of his music, which is, that everyday interaction with human life, going out, friends, and all of those things. So the why really is informed by his music and his story. When and how often? Well, in terms of numbers, I had a quick look. It seems like every other day or every 2 or 3 days. But again, he's not posting for the sake of it. He's posting because he has something to post, because he's created something, a new loop. He's doing something on his drum machine. He's collaborating with Skrillex, whatever it might be. It's creation first, and then it's the post. Format, mostly video, which makes sense because he's a very dynamic artist, a lot going on. There are the odd still image of a poster or a tour schedule. And again, there's a real consistency across his posts. There's a lot of him finger drumming. He loves that. He loves the live performance. He loves sharing that. And he loves just talking about music and sharing music, and it's really consistent. You only have to look at his Instagram or watch a few videos to really know what Fred, again, is all about. Now, I appreciate for some of you, you're probably thinking, well, it's easy for him. He's playing all these great shows. He's got all these cool people he's collaborating with. He's got all this amazing music. It's easy for him. But whilst that is true, essentially that all of that stuff is the wrapping, and what really backs it up is the music. And again, what he's doing is he's creating, and then the content is following. So go back all the way to the beginning of this video, and the point that we made right at the beginning is that essentially the content is the wrapping, the music is the gift, and it's the gift that you need to be focusing on. So if you haven't got content and if you've got nothing to share, I'll emphasize it again: get in that studio, come up with a live show, form a band, book a gig. If you can't perform live or you can't play an instrument, I don't know, do a live mixtape or something. But ultimately, focus on your creativity, film and document that process, and that is where the best and the most engaging and the most exciting content will come from. And it really isn't about your social numbers and your hashtag strategy. It's about your music and then putting that in a presentable format. I hope that was useful. I hope that wasn't too waffly. The next video, we're going to talk about 3 singles and why that's important in a release schedule. And don't forget to go back and watch previous videos on the objective, your story, your brand, defining your target audience, and all of those things. I'm Johnny, this is Blah Blah Blah, and this is the music marketing team. I hope you enjoy this video.